Hello everyone. Today's topic it is about an electric generator. You may already have discussed about electric generator in your lower class of 10th. We will extend the same understanding of electric generator little further, and also we will discuss its quantitative aspect. Okay. So what is an electric generator? In simple way, it uses the mechanical energy to work and convert that mechanical energy into electric energy. So in simple way, electric generator converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. So while it consumes mechanical energy or uses mechanical energy for its working, it can give electric energy of two kinds. Either the electric energy it is of alternating current or alternating AC, we can also call it to be AC, or it can also give the output as the direct current, which we call as DC output, right? So depending upon what kind of electric generator we are talking about, they are of two kinds. So based on the output, they are of two kinds. For AC output, we have AC generator. Alternating current, it also means AC, right? And if we want the DC to be the output, then we have a DC generator for that. So let us take the case of AC generator. So here it is, the construction of an AC generator, right? So how does it work? What are its construction? It has two opposite poles of the magnets. One is north and other one is the south pole to provide a strong magnetic field. In that region where the magnetic field existing, we have an armature coil. We call this coil to be armature coil. This is a wire which is formed in the form of a loop. We are calling it to be A, B, C, D. And the ends of this armature coil are connected with two rings, R1 and R2. To these rings, two brushes, frictionless brushes are connected, which provide the free contact between rings and the brushes, through which the output is taken across the galvanometer, right? So we have two complete rings. These two complete rings are called as the slip rings. Two brushes which are used to make contact with the output rings R1 and R2, and output is taken across some load distance, or for here we are connected a galvanometer. So this is the construction of in basic way of an electric generator, particularly of an AC generator, right? So we have to make this coil rotate inside the magnetic field set up by these two magnets. So whenever this coil is rotated inside this magnetic field, according to the concept we have discussed, the electromagnetic induction phenomena, an EMF is developed across the two ends of the coil, due to which some current starts flowing in the coil, which can be detected with the help of this galvanometer, right? So this is how it works. And the direction of the EMF can also be known by the Fleming's right hand rule, as we have discussed earlier. According to that rule, if the forefinger, middle finger and thumb of the right hand are held mutually perpendicular, so that forefinger is along the direction of magnetic field, middle finger it is along the direction of current, the thumb is along the direction in which the coil, or we can say conductor, is moving, then along the direction of middle finger the current will, or we can say induced EMF will flow, or we can say it will be induced. So that is the Fleming's right hand rule. So this is how it works and what is basic principle. So what is the principle of an electric generator? The phenomena of electromagnetic induction. Whenever a coil is rotated inside a magnetic field, a uniform magnetic field, an induced EMF is set up across the two ends of that coil. That induced EMF causes the flow of current in the coil, and hence this current is detected with the help of this galvanometer as per our circuit setup. Okay, so that is about the construction, the working principle and the different parts of this electric generator. What about the output of this electric generator and its working in detail. Let us try to understand it through these diagrams. Here it is the North Pole and here it is the South Pole. Between these North and South poles, the coil keeps on rotating, and for rotating the coil some mechanical energy has to be spent. Okay. So the magnetic field, it is set up from North Pole to the South Pole. So the magnetic field is along this direction. And here are the different situations of the same coil. So in this situation, we are considering that the coil, it is perpendicular to the plane of the, perpendicular to the magnetic field. So the magnetic field, or we can say this coil, in first case, initially at time t is equal to 0, we are taking that the coil, it is lying perpendicular to the magnetic field in this situation. So the upper arm, we are calling it A, B, and lower arm we are calling it C, D. So CD, it is in downward direction, AB, it is in upward direction. So at t is equal to 0, there is the maximum flux which is crossing through the, we can say that area loop. But it is not the maximum flux which is a point of interest during electromagnetic induction. It is the rate of change of electric flux. So we will talk about the rate of change of electric flux in all these situations. So in first case, whenever arm AB is in upward side and arm CD is in downward side. Now to rotate it, we provide the force on arm AB in downward direction and AB in upward direction. So during that torque, the this coil will start rotating. So AB, it will start shifting to the right, and therefore AB, it goes like way and CD comes this way. So we stop here and understand what change in flux is taking place and at what rate, and hence what is the value of induced EMF. So this is the initial point of time. Whenever the coil is held perpendicular to the magnetic field, the plane of the coil is perpendicular to the magnetic field, so that the area vector of the coil, it is along the magnetic field. So that is the situation, first situation. Now we are rotating it. So in this situation, we have discussed the three cases in which the EMF can be induced. First is whenever the magnetic field around a conductor can be changed. Second, whenever a coil is moved in and out of the magnetic field. And third, whenever a coil is rotated inside the magnetic field, if you remember that. So we are taking the third case, we are rotating the coil. So how this rotating the coil in the magnetic field induces the EMF or changes the we can say magnetic flux. By rotating, the magnetic flux is the number of field lines crossing the plane of this coil. So whenever we rotate it, in this situation, the flux starts changing, but the rate of change of flux is quite small. So the value of EMF which is induced, it is also small, right? So in this situation, whenever the we can say rotate the coil, so that arm AB, it starts moving downward direction and CD arm starts coming upward direction. So we are rotating it that way. So in this situation, whenever the plane of this coil, it is perpendicular to the magnetic field, it starts cutting, or we can say intercepting, the number of field lines. In this case, or in other way, let me explain it other way. How many field lines are crossing? The maximum, because the plane of the coil is held perpendicular to the magnetic field. Now we are rotating it. Now this coil is starting losing the magnetic field lines, because less number of field lines are now crossing, right? But in this state, whenever we start from the state of perpendicular plane to the magnetic field, because plane of the coil is perpendicular to the magnetic field, that rate of losing the magnetic field, or we can say rate of change of flux, is quite low. So therefore EMF induced, it is also small, right? As we keep on rotating, the rate of change of flux starts increasing, because this coil starts losing the magnetic field lines at a faster rate. We are not changing the speed, or we can say angular speed of this coil. Actually, in the different situation, the rate of change of flux is different, right? So rate of change of flux goes on increasing, and as the coil reaches the 90-degree angle, it rotates by 90 degree. It is AB end, it is CD end. So in this state, the flux becomes zero, because no field line now can cross through the we can say coil. All the field lines are along the plane. But in this situation, the rate of change of flux is maximum. In this case, whenever we rotate the coil by a slight amount, the change in flux takes place at a faster rate. Immediately it starts gaining or losing the magnetic field at a faster rate. So that means the flux, it keeps on changing at a faster and faster rate as we rotate the coil by an angle of 90 degrees. As the coil rotates by an angle of 90 degree, the flux, rate of change of flux is maximum, and hence the EMF induced, it is also maximum. So this is for the rotation of angle equal to pi by 2, or we can say 90 degree. Whenever we further start rotating this we can say coil further, now AB end is going downward and this CD end is going in upward direction. You can apply the Fleming's right hand rule and you can get the direction of the current. So in this case, first case, whenever AB is moving in downward direction, it was the case, AB was moving in downward direction. So whenever we hold the right hand according to the Fleming's left hand rule. So this is the direction of the magnetic field along the forefinger, thumb, the direction of the motion of the conductor. On AB arm, the conductor will move in downward direction due to the downward force. So therefore the current induced, it will be from B to A. If you imagine it, this is A, B, C, E, C, D. So it will be from B to A. So the direction of induced EMF will set a current in this direction from B to A, due to which the galvanometer will show some deflection in one particular direction. Initially, the value of induced EMF will be less, and as we keep on rotating it, the rate of change of flux goes on increasing. The flux changes at a faster rate. So the induced EMF becomes maximum. In this situation, here it is AB arm and here it is CD arm. Now we start rotating the coil. Here the flux is zero, but we are interested in the rate of change of flux. So whenever we start rotating the coil from this situation beyond 90 degree to 180 degree, so the rate of change of flux initially is quite high. So therefore the value of EMF induced initially it is quite high, because the coil intercepts the magnetic field, or we can say magnetic field lines at a faster rate. It cuts, or we can say intercepts the magnetic field lines at a faster rate in this, whenever it is moved about this situation. So we further rotate it, the rate of change of flux is maximum, and therefore the induced EMF is maximum, and as we keep on moving, the rate of change of flux goes on decreasing, right? Because the rate at which this plane of the coil gains the magnetic field lines, it goes on decreasing, and in this situation AB comes in downward direction and CD comes in upward direction. So this is the situation. So current will be along the same direction, but its value will keep on decreasing. Initially the rate of change of flux was maximum, so therefore EMF induced is maximum, and as we move further from 90 to 180 degree, the rate of change of flux goes on decreasing, and therefore the induced EMF also goes on decreasing, right? So now AB arm it is downward and CD arm it is in upward direction. We keep on rotating the coil in the same manner. So whenever in this situation, whenever we start, the flux goes on, rate of change of flux goes on increasing. So we rotate the coil. Now AB arm, which earlier it was moving in downward direction, now AB arm it is moving in upward direction, and CD arm, which was moving in upward direction earlier, now it is moving in downward direction. So the direction of force has, or we can say direction of motion of the conductor has reversed, not the magnetic field. So that means the direction of the current which is induced, or EMF which is induced, it will also be reversed. And of course its rate also goes on increasing from this situation. Here the rate of change of flux is minimum, so therefore the current induced it will be minimum, and as we keep on rotating the AB arm keeps on coming upward, right, after that, after 180 degree. So the AB arm keep coming upward and CD arm keep coming downward. So after 180 degree, from 180 degree to 270 degree, we are rotating the coil by 90 degree. For that, the rate of change of flux keeps on increasing from 180 degree to 270 degree. So the value of induced EMF it also keeps on increasing till 3 pi by 2, or we can say 270 degree. Now this is the situation. It is the AB arm, it is the CD arm. Now we are rotating the coil from the state whenever the rate of change of flux is maximum to the situation whenever rate of change of flux is minimum. So AB arms goes in upward direction. So here in this case, so this is, and whenever we rotate from 180 degree, the direction of current changes because AB moves up and CD comes down, just like this. Now the current flow from A to B in this situation, sorry. And after that current becomes maximum because rate of change of flux is maximum in this state, but of course in opposite we can say direction due to the Fleming's left hand rule. Now we further rotate the coil from 270 degree means 3 pi by 2 to one complete rotation means 360 degree, or we can say 2 pi. Now its flux keeps on decreasing. This is the state whenever the rate of change of flux will be maximum. Whenever we rotate the coil in this situation, the rate of change of flux will be maximum. It will keep on decreasing as we rotate the coil by further 90 degree. So therefore the value of induced EMF it also goes on decreasing and it becomes minimum in this state. Right? So this is how, this is the one complete rotation of this coil. So during one complete rotation of the coil, we see that the current is changing its value as well as its direction. So it will be just like this. So that means such a kind of electric current which changes its value and also its direction periodically after a regular period of time, such a kind of alternating current, current it is called as an alternating current or AC. So this is the output of an AC electric generator, right? And if you want to write the expression for the value of induced EMF at any point of time, suppose that we are rotating the coil at time t, we are rotating the coil by an angle theta. So here theta is it will be equal to, it will depend upon this time t. So it will be given by omega time t, where omega is the angular speed of the rotation of the coil. So theta will at any point on t, it will be given by theta is equal to omega t. So to understand this situation, we are observing this situation from the front side. So we will see only one phase. So we are observing this is the phase AD, or like we can say it to be just like this. Suppose that magnetic field it is always along this direction, as in this case, right, and the normal to this plane of the coil, it will be its area vector, it will be along this direction. So this is the area vector. You can also call it to be the unit vector, normal vector, and the angle made by the magnetic field with this area vector it is theta, which at any point of time it is given by omega t. Theta is equal to omega t. So for calculating the flux, we take the component of the magnetic field which is along the area vector. So out of this magnetic field, what component of this magnetic field will be along this area vector? It will be B cos theta. So therefore, from this understanding, if we are observing this coil from top face or bottom. Here we are observing it from the bottom side AD, so that we see only the side AD. So this is the situation. So therefore the flux which is associated with this coil at any time t, it will be given by B into A into cos of theta, by general definition of the magnetic flux. And if we have more number of turns which are over this coil, for example n number of turns, so flux will be n times B A into cos theta. Let us take theta to be omega t. So here this flux, it is written as NB into A into cos of theta, which is omega t. So this is the flux associated with the armature coil at any point of time t. Therefore, what will be the rate of change of flux? This will decide the value of induced EMF. Therefore, induced EMF, this is nothing but minus d phi upon dt. We substitute the value of phi from here in this equation and calculate for induced EMF. So the value of induced EMF, it is given by minus d upon dt of phi. So phi here it is nothing but NBA cos omega t. In this equation, N, B and A, these are something which remain constant, so it is minus N, B, A, and inside we are differentiating only cos omega t. So by mathematics, the differentiation of cos omega t, it is nothing but minus sin omega t times, we also differentiate this with respect to time, so it will be omega. So we can just write it in one single line as minus n b, sorry, this minus will just neutralize by this minus sign, so it will be just nba omega into sin omega t. So this is the value of induced EMF at any time t. And we can write this term, this is nothing but constant. N is constant, magnetic field is constant, area enclosed by the loop is constant, omega, the angular speed is, it is also constant. So that means this is something, this factor is something constant, and this is called as the peak value of EMF or maximum value of EMF, or we can say amplitude of the EMF induced. So we write it by E naught into sin omega t. So this is the value of induced EMF, where E naught, it is nothing but N, B, A and omega. So this is how we understand the working of an electric generator and its output in terms of the nature of the output and its value. So this is about AC generator. So alternating current, or we can say AC, is the current which changes its direction after a regular period of time. So that kind of current, it is called as alternating current, and the device which is giving such kind of output, it is called as an AC generator. So this is the construction of an AC generator. What if we are interested in a DC generator which gives the output in the form of direct current, DC output? So for that, so DC output is the one which does not change its direction. It may change its value, but it does not change its direction. So that kind of output or current, it is called as, band kar lo sir. So for having a DC generator, in place of two complete rings, we make use of two split rings, just as this. So we make use of the two split rings just as this. So two ends of the armature coil are connected to the two half rings. These are called as the two split rings. and these two split rings are made in contact with two brushes B1 and B2. This is ring R1, this is ring R2. The two brushes through which the output is taken. These provide the frictionless contact between the brushes and the rings. So this output is taken on the galvanometer. So in this situation, if we rotate the coil, the direction of current changes in the coil, but the direction of current does not change in the outward circuit, output circuit. So that in output we receive the current which is flowing only in one direction. So this is the same diagram of a DC motor. So that means DC motor can be used as a DC generator if we spend the mechanical energy in order to rotate the DC motor. It will give out output as a DC current. So that is an DC generator. So that is all about this topic. In the next case, we will take about some questions on the electric generator.